Does good make you feel good? Or does goodness and warmth and joy make you actually feel scared, fearful, unsure, not in total control of what's going to happen next? If that's you, my friend, you are not alone. And that is one of the main topics we're diving into today in this episode, which is a vulnerability and coaching session with Yuliya Patsay. Yuliya Patsay has gone through our bioenergetic business coaching scan, which has unearthed some of her feelings around goodness, wholeness, and the ability to trust herself and others. This is an incredibly healing and empowering session, and I can't wait for you to listen in. All right, let's go.
Welcome to the Flourishing Entrepreneur Podcast with Alea Harris. This is the place where you and your fellow empire-building entrepreneurs come to vanquish the burnout monster and boost your glow and cash flow with energy alignment techniques and tried and true marketing strategies. Since 7 figures won't get itself, hit that subscribe button and never miss out on your chance to skyrocket profits, tap into your intuition, and manifest your dreams. And now, your host, Powerhouse Story Brand Certified Guide, award-winning marketer, bioenergetic business coach, and Japanese whiskey lover, Alea Harris.
Oftentimes, we delay our own healing because we're so scared of the trials, tribulations, and trust that we are going to have on the journey to get there. When we delay our own healing, we tell ourselves lies. We say things like, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, it's not going to make that much of a difference. Actually, I am really happy. Can't you tell? I just bought a new purse or a new lipstick. Well, unfortunately, you can't lie to yourself. You can't lie to your body. You can't lie to your emotions. As you continue to say things like, I'm fine, it's great, I'll do this when, I'll heal now, later. When you do that, you continue to get sick. You continue to disassociate socially. You continue to feel the burdens of your past weighing on your present and your future. My friend, if that is you today, it is now your opportunity to heal. If you were wondering when is a good time to release all of the hurt, the pain, and the resentment, now is that time. If you needed someone to tell you, hey, go, that's me, Alea Harris, telling you to go. Now, I'm jesting because I know that it's not that easy. If it were that easy, you would have done it already. But releasing and excavation is the first necessary and often, unfortunately, painful step to healing and feeling all of those good feelings that you feel temporarily all the time. As you begin to excavate, one of the tools and techniques that I like to tell people to do is to reframe. And I'm going to talk to Yuliya about this later on in the episode, so you'll get a detailed rundown. But I want you to reframe some of that hurt, to allow yourself to move into the position of the observer of your life. Often we are so involved in our own lives that we don't see our own story arcs, our own transitions, our own peaks and valleys. We feel them intimately, but we don't see them the way that we see the lives of other people. By reframing how you think about your own life and taking a step back, healing often becomes just a little bit easier. You're able to say, okay, if I were going to look at this from the position of my very best friend, would I paint such the picture of hurt that I'm unable to move past? Or would I find the moments of strength that allow me to realize that I can transcend this situation? Would I find the moments of joy when I feel like there's been nothing joyful in my past to celebrate, so that I know and can tap into what that joyful feeling is and recreate it for myself in the present, to find that strength and that warmth and that love that I need to confront some of those painful situations. Excavation sometimes is dumping that nasty bucket of feelings and hot oyster juice. If you listen to some of our other episodes, dumping some of that out and being very deliberate about it. But sometimes it's also about taking a step away from the bucket because you're so close to the bucket you can't even see the handles to dump. So taking a step back, observing, finding how your life has truly ebbed and flowed, that's different than the story you've been telling, may help you better understand how to even grab hold of the bucket to dump it in the first place. My mantra for you as you're trying to find the handles to dump your bucket is, I release what is no longer serving me. I release what is no longer serving me. Say it with me. I release what is no longer serving me. I release what is no longer serving me. I think that after saying that a couple times throughout the day, throughout the week, you'll feel a little bit better. And you'll also be able to see, well, what is it that I need to release? What is it that I've been holding on to that I really don't want to hold on to anymore? It is time. It has been time to let it go. It is time to release what is no longer serving me so that I can enter into a story of my own creation, a story that I like, living a story that makes me feel lit up. So you can only do that if you release what is no longer serving you. You can only get that creative new idea you need to run the business of your dreams if you release what is no longer serving you. You can only get those relationships that fill you up if you release what is no longer serving you. You can only truly feel like you're being your authentic self if you release what is no longer serving you. I encourage you to do that now. I encourage you to take a step back and look at your life as the observer and see what you need to release, and then make a plan to go ahead and release it. That's what we're diving into today when we're talking with Yuliya Patsay. And if you want some more support in doing that, be sure to go to flourishmarketing.co/recalibrate to get some strategies on how to release yourself, release your pent up energy so that you don't feel weighed down, you don't feel tired, you're not on a path for greater dis-ease. You're on a path for abundance and life. Again, go to flourishmarketing.co/recalibrate to grab some of those recalibration strategies to set yourself on a path that you really love. All right. Now that we are in the mindset to release what is no longer serving us, let's dive in and talk to Yuliya Patsay about how she is going to do this in her life and how then you can learn to do the same. Hi, Yuliya. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Flourishing Entrepreneur podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am so glad. And I say joining us, but technically you are with us every single episode because you are the voice of the Flourishing Entrepreneur podcast in the intro, the outro, the commercials, all of it.
And I am super grateful to do that for you. It was such a pleasure to get together, record those segments, and I'm so excited for this podcast. I'm excited for what you've launched. I'm just really happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. So, Before we get into your scan, which we already scanned and did a little bit of a review before we pressed record, tell the people a little bit about you, not only who you are, what you do, but maybe a little bit about your life so that they can get some context into what we're going to dive into.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Yuliya, and I am originally from the former Soviet Union. And I immigrated to the States as a child, and I landed in San Francisco, which is the best place to be. And, it was a really it's kind of like being thrown into an environment that is a 180 from where you were from. So my life has been all about figuring out how to assimilate, how to be who I am, how to show up as myself, but also like how to fit in, how to make sure nobody picks on me, all that kind of stuff. And once I grew up, I worked in marketing and communications. And that is actually how we met because you hired me and you were my boss, and no one pays me to say this anymore. You were the best boss I've ever had.
Because
Fact.
I paid you to say it before.
No, no, you did not pay me enough to say it then. So it is the truth. You are the best boss I've ever had.
Oh,
You
thank you.
you are a wonderful mentor. You really know how to mentor people, which I really appreciated. In fact, you encouraged me to pursue what lights me up. And the thing that lights me up, as I discovered, was voiceover. And when you were my boss, I found out about voiceover, the world of voiceover, started taking classes, eventually cut a demo, got an agent, and am now working as a voice actor. So it all comes full circle thanks to you.
That is amazing. That is I'm just glad that I got to be part of your story and continue to be part of your story. Are you ready to dive into your scan?
I am. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm a
So,
little nervous, you can tell, but it's okay. Let's do
it's
it.
okay. Everyone is a little nervous with the scan, and this is not your first scan. You are a bioenergetic business coaching client. However, every scan feels a little bit like nerve-wracking. I get it.
Mhm.
Even when I scan myself, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what's gonna come up?"
Exactly. What is gonna come up? Tell me.
What is gonna come up? So I am if you are listening, you can see screenshots of Yuliya's scan inside of the show notes. They're going to be linked there. If you are watching this video, well, then you already see the scan on the
I just
screen.
wanna point out that the scan adds 10 pounds, okay? So, just
The scan
that's all I'm
adds
saying.
nothing. It reveals the pounds of your emotional weight.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. So, in the scan, because it's just a short episode, we are going to focus on one particular trend theme that we have that I've seen in your scan. Keeping in mind that a full scan takes about a month's worth of time with weekly sessions to dive into and excavate all of the stuff rolling around in there. But we're just going to pick one thing, get some quick tips and tricks, hopefully help other people who might be experiencing something similar, and then we can run off and dive more into it in our normal coaching sessions. Does that sound like a plan?
That sounds like a great plan.
So the first thing that I see here is the purple and the orange, which means that your body field is calling for these areas as a high priority. And you have a big fat purple in your energy driver in your stomach area. And the energy driver in the stomach area is associated with your entire digestive tract. It also is associated with being able to digest food, emotions, and the power with which you have to do that. Talk to me about some of the experiences you might be experiencing or have experienced recently that may have drawn some of your power away from processing emotion.
Well, I would have to say that I didn't realize this before, but recently I was in a therapy session and I experienced some really strong emotions come up. I began to feel them, and I immediately was like, "Excuse me, I don't have time for this right now. I'm not gonna deal with this right now," and I started to shut it down.
And
And the
so
therapist called me out on it right away and said, you're not, what happened? Like, you're not sharing, you're not letting me see the full truth of what's happening.
So what was the full truth? I'm just as nosy as the therapist.
So I was working with the therapist, and as I began to feel those emotions and then tamp them down because I was uncomfortable really sitting in it and feeling it, it was the first time that I ever really experienced censoring myself in that way.
Gotcha. So you felt like you were censoring yourself, pushing that down, and then and that draining kind of some of that processing information. So you were not able to process in the way that you wanted to. And what did that mean for the rest of that session, or for the way that you kind of approach that
Yeah.
particular emotional experience?
Well, the reality is that I've always thought of myself as a pretty open person, as somebody who feels the emotions, who, is honest about what they're actually experiencing. But as I watched that entire scenario play out, I saw myself feel an emotion, decide that it was too much to be feeling that emotion, and shut it down. And then I don't know where that went. It wasn't safe to bring it up again. And so I didn't deal with it in that moment. And now I'm left wondering, when do I deal with it? Like, at what point is it okay to let all those really uncomfortable feelings out?
I love that you brought that up and that you're asking that question. First of all, it is always okay to clear your emotions, but really when you feel safe is when it's the best time. There was something in that session that made you not feel safe in that moment. So if your therapist, who I'm sure is lovely, is not creating that safe place, or if they're creating a safe place but you're running away from it, what you need to do is to be able to create
Mhm.
that safe place with inside of yourself that allows you to feel like you can process that information and those
Yeah,
emotions from a grounded, centered location.
right. What
Inside of your inner.
I just
Oh, go
wanted to
ahead.
point out, what I omitted saying was that it was a session with another person, and it was really the presence of that other person with whom I did not feel safe expressing all those feelings. So,
Yeah, and especially if you're in therapy with another person, you have their energy in there, you have your energy in there, you have your history in there, all of that crap in there, and trying to open up, and you're sending mixed signals. Your part of you is like, I need to open up. I'm in therapy. The other part of you is like, don't open up. You're going to get hurt. You're going to be attacked. You're going to be, not okay if you open up. So I totally understand how you would not feel,
or you'll hurt the other person, which I don't want to.
or you'll hurt the other person. Absolutely. And you'll hurt the other person because you're retaliating, right? You've been hurt, they've been hurt. It's a big old mess of hurt. It becomes a battlefield rather than a safe place. And so then that does draw energy from your emotional center. Your stomach and your digestive lining are in literally the squishy part. People think we process emotion only through our heart centers, which is not true. The most vulnerable place of your body is your stomach, and that squishy kind of underbelly middle, which often becomes unprotected. Haven't you noticed that when you feel uncomfortable in a situation, you cross your arms, or you might even kind of sit with your leg up, or you lean forward, or you lean back. You might
Mhm.
unintentionally put a book over your stomach, or your coat, something like that.
Yeah,
You are instinctively protecting that emotional exchange in an
yeah,
uncomfortable situation.
yeah.
So, how then, the question lingering in the air is, how then do you create a safe place no matter what's going on around you? How do you stand in the middle of a battlefield and feel centered? I have a recommendation. Are you open
Do
to my
share.
recommendation?
Yeah, I am open to it.
Just like any technique, it's not a one and done. But what I like to do is use the power of the light. And the light is the highest, purest form of light from God, the universe, spirit, whatever deity you would choose to use here,
Mhm.
or deity or higher energy. And you
Mhm.
take that light, and as a being of light yourself, which we often forget that we are divine, as a being of light yourself, you have the ability to control and manipulate and manage the light so that it is for your highest good and the highest good of all concerned. Using your creative imagination and feeling the feelings and the emotion before you get into a potentially combative or uncomfortable or unsafe situation, you can use the light to layer on top of that stomach emotion center. So we're going to do it together right now. So close your eyes for a second. You ready? Close them, close them, close them. Take a deep breath so you feel centered. Take a deep breath into the count of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold and release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I want you to imagine a ball of bright, white, beautiful light floating above your head. And this ball of bright light, beautiful light feels like unconditional love, protection, and the safest safety you've ever been this close to. And you realize that that light is in you, around you, and through you. It's permeating every fiber of your being, every blood cell, every neural pathway, every energetic flow, meridian system driver that you have within you. And you say, wow, if this light is all around me, above me, from this bright, beautiful light source, I want to make sure that I use it for its highest good. So imagine that light falling in sheets like tissue paper and layering sheet by sheet over your stomach. Layer 1 of light covers it and protects. Layer 2 of light, and as that happens, you're layering 3, 4, 5, the thinnest, most ethereal sheets of light. Every single sheet you lay down and you pull from this grander light source protects your emotional center, allows your emotional center to feel like it's being cuddled. It's warm, it's safe. You are warm and safe and protected. Pretty soon, as you continue layering on these sheets of white light, of beautiful light onto that center, you begin to feel like, oh, you no longer have that soft underbelly that is exposed to attack. You can still be you and soft and warm and sweet and kind underneath this sheet, but the sheet is protecting you, and it's permanent. It's a permanent fixture of you. And every time that you feel unsafe, you layer another sheet on of that light. It's from an infinite source, a source that's always full of the greatest good, the highest good, the most love, the highest potential that you can tap into whenever you like. Layer on your final sheets. Feel the warmth, feel the love, feel the embrace over your emotional center, over that stomach and digestive area, and feel the empowerment, the safety and security. This is your safe place that you can take with you no matter where you are. Keeping that there in your mind's eye. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, flutter your eyelashes open, and come back to me here. How are you feeling?
That was good. The actual physical light is now shining upon me.
I do see that. I did not plan that.
I
Me
can't,
and the universe
sure.
are tight like that, but we are not that tight.
Please scooch out of the way for
That's
you.
an exercise that you can do before the strategy session, throughout your day, all the time, should you choose to move forward. I'm going to change the screen now from the driver screen to your life journey screen. And in particular, the screen that talks about your creative cycle. You,
Mhm.
my friend, are a creativity magnet. You are a voiceover actress, you are caring, you talk about, your children, and you're having to constantly be in a sense of creation and change within your life. That stomach driver is related very directly to how you're able to absorb goodness, break it into manageable parts, nourishment, resources, satisfaction, fulfillment, and hunger, physical hunger, as well as the emotional hunger, the drive for and zeal and zest for life. Talk to me about what's going on with you in your transformation journey that you may be having difficulty absorbing some of that goodness and breaking it down and realizing that that goodness even exists around you.
I realized recently that I have a lot of challenges, a kind of a hard time accepting the good things in life. Either I'm kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, or I don't trust how good something feels, or I'm just afraid that, you know, being joyful and being happy is like a sign, it's like I'm bragging and now I need to be, squashed down and put in my place. So there's a lot of fear around feeling good. It is scary for me to feel good. So that's where I'm at. And it also in particular around money and wealth, it's abundance. All of that is just it's just really scary. It's scary to want those things, to say you want them, to even recognize your blessings when you have them. It's all a lot of fear around that.
Where is the fear coming from? Are you fearful that it's temporary? Are you fearful that it'll be taken away from you? Or are you fearful because you like you don't deserve it?
Both of those things. Those are the main two thoughts that I have when it comes to that. Either, I don't want to like anger the universe by being so happy that it needs to put me in my place, or that I just don't deserve it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you, so I would go ahead on a limb here and say this has a lot to do with how you grew up. Um, but we luckily, every moment and every breath that we take, have an opportunity to create something different that is not part of our known past or our perceived known future. So having the realization that this is a problem means that you get to change it and do something differently. Before we talk about that in particular, talk to me a little bit about how this relates to your relationship with food.
Hmm. That's a great question. Well, my relationship with food, I would say, is fraught at best. I have a lot of digestive issues. I've had, challenges with food in my stomach ever since I was a little kid. When I was a little kid back in the former Soviet Union, I there was just a lot of like I know the ambulance got called a couple times because of stomach stuff. I ended up in the hospital once. And when I came to the States, they did allergy tests and said that there was a lot of allergies, and I had to go off of a bunch of food products, and it just there's no trust there. Food, which is this wonderful, beautiful thing that is a huge part of how we experience our culture. I just haven't been able to trust my relationship with that. It seems like everything hurts me. It seems like good things hurt me, and that's kind of where that's at. So, gosh, that sounds like a real parallel, doesn't it?
It does. I'm not new to this, Yulia. I know how to
Yeah,
do this.
like you've done this before.
You said something that I think is very interesting. You said, it seems like good things hurt me. What good things, besides maybe gluten, because gluten hurts me too.
Dairy. I have
Unfortunately,
dairy.
I love me some bread, but gluten hurts me too. What good things, relationships, people have hurt you to the point that you feel like you are not strong enough to recover? Because not only have the things hurt you, but they've also stolen your belief in yourself that you are invincible, which at the end, all of us, our souls moving through this experience, we are all truly in the core of us, invincible and indestructible. But something has robbed you of that feeling, of feeling indestructible.
It's honestly easier to answer what hasn't hurt me than it is to answer what has. And I would say that the only thing that I feel has not hurt me is my relationship with my partner. My partner and I have been together for 17, 18 years. And that is the one situation where I feel confident and secure that this is a good thing and this is my good thing and I deserve this good thing. And that's it. Literally every other experience in life, there's been a lot of hurt, there's been a lot of pain, sort of like those beginning relationships, those really important, parent relationships, friendship relationships. There's been other partners in the past. There's just been a lot of putting a lot of trust in a situation and then having that situation not work out. I've even kind of had my heart broken professionally a couple of times where I've had a business previously, and I will have made an error and somebody misinterprets my intentions, and then it just felt like my heart was broken and I had to step away from the field altogether. So it just kind of repeats. That particular pattern has repeated over and over again. And the only thing that's kind of given me hope is the fact that I do have this one piece of my life that I can really trust. I work hard at it, and it's reciprocal. So I hope that
Gotcha.
answers your question.
That definitely answers my question. Thank you for answering my question. So as you are moving through life, unfortunately and fortunately, our experiences become part of our bodies and our energy fields, and they affect the way that we're able to live in the present. And they also, for better or worse, define the identity and the story that we've written for ourselves up until this point. And you are a beautiful writer and creator. You have the opportunity to tell a different story. Well, we can't do it on this, but you actually are going to get homework because I'm going to talk to you about this in our next session. I want you to write a different story of your life from the beginning, not future, not the future where we're doing an ideal scene and looking forward, but a different perspective. Like those movies that have the same situation from like the perspective of 5 different
Yeah.
characters,
Yeah.
something like that. You've told yourself one perspective. There are other perspectives to have, not to negate the current one, but just to say, well, how else can I look at this and potentially liberate myself from the story that I've been telling myself? Let me give you an example. I could tell the story of myself. I grew up with a single mom who worked 2 jobs and got her master's degree with a 4-year-old. I, had to go back and forth and bounce around between her house and my grandma's house because she was so busy. And, I had to go really far away for school. And I was always the kid in school my mom had the old car and we were the poor ones. And I was the poor Black girl, like one of the only Black girls in the private school. And I had just such a impoverished beginning, and now it's just like, oh, I'm lucky to even be here. That's one version of the story. Or I look at it this way. I had a mother who loved me so much that she worked 2 jobs and got her master's degree to make sure we had a better life. I was blessed to have a close relationship with my grandmother who lived a block away, and I called them both mom because I had my own room. I had my little blue bag. I went over there. She'd help with field trips. She took us to the pumpkin patch, and she always got McDonald's Happy Meals on Fridays when she picked me up. And then my mom was able to find a way because she wanted to make sure that the gifts that I had were able to flourish. So she made sure to put me in private school from preschool through university. I've never attended a public school because my mother loved me that much. Guess which story I choose to tell?
That second one sounds good enough to bring tears to my eyes.
You can rewrite your past. All of it is true. Nothing I said was a lie in either story. It's just about how I look at it. I choose to feel the love. I choose to feel the hard work. I choose to honor my mother's sacrifices by choosing light. So your homework, my love, is to rewrite your story so that you can see where you actually have absorbed the goodness, where you actually have absorbed the love, and how much you're just dripping with it. When I look at you, and when I always have looked at you, I see someone who is exuding love for life and for other people. You need to exude it for yourself and start by rewriting your story. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this episode, my love.
And that's all the time my mascara has to stop from running. So perfect timing.
Well, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being so open and for sharing your experiences with everyone who hopefully can begin to use your experience to uplift themselves and allow some of those blockages in their life to also begin to shake loose. I so appreciate you.
And you. Thank you.
This episode is brought to you by BioEnergetic Business Coaching by Flourish Marketing. Do you wake up feeling tired? You can't build your empire if you're cranky and exhausted. If you're fed up with fighting a losing battle against the burnout monster, it's time to fix the root causes of your issues and get aligned. Turn up the wattage on your glow and cash flow with effective business strategies. BioEnergetic Business Coaching is for growth-getting entrepreneurs who know they need to make a change to see better results and reach their goals. If you want to unblock your energy and unleash abundance, head to www.flourishmarketing.co/coaching to become a client. Now's your chance to step into the role of CEO, Chief Energy Officer, and flourish in business and life. Go to www.flourishmarketing.co/coaching to get started.
Rewriting your own story means that you believe in yourself as the story architect of your life. Being a business owner, you have to be the architect. You have to be the visionary. You cannot succeed and build an empire if you only allow your past experiences and past hurt to dictate your future success. Make a plan now. Set a date for when you are going to release the things or start to release the things that are no longer serving you so that you can be that architect of your life and your business that you deserve to be. Because, my friend, in addition to the universe and the light, you are the best one to take care of you. Remember, when you feel safe and insecure, or when you feel unsafe and insecure, make sure that you layer those layers of light over yourself. You tap into that source. You create that sense of safety and security no matter where you are. If you need help, I would love to work with you as a bioenergetic business coaching client. We are currently accepting new applications. Make sure you go to flourishmarketing.co/coaching to join us and join me in your journey towards feeling safe, secure, and letting go of what is no longer serving you. Thank you for joining us here on the Flourishing Entrepreneur Podcast. Again, my name is Yuliya Harris, and I will see you back here next Wednesday. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Flourishing Entrepreneur Podcast with Yuliya Harris. Dive into the show notes at www.flourishmarketing.co/podcast and connect with Yuliya at Flourishing Entrepreneur on Instagram. Vibing with what you hear? Leave a 5-star review to spread the love, and be sure to click subscribe. From the entire Flourish marketing team, we wish you love, light, and abundance. See you next time.